All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Climbed and to this episode. And today I have a really special guest for you. Her name is Coach Kavita, and she's coming all the way from, you're not coming, you're just virtual. But, I know that you're in Montreal, Canada. So welcome, Coach Kavita. I'm super excited to have you here.
Thank you. Yeah, this was after a few tiny bumps, my schedule, your schedule. I'm glad we made it happen. And I think timing-wise, 2023 is a better fit.
Yes, for sure. And this is not like an interview. I prefer to think about this as a discussion, like where we're having fun and we're chatting and things, because you're a professional in your field. I'm a professional in mine. I get so many requests to be on the podcast, mostly from like dating coaches and love experts and things like that. And I'm like, I just try to always follow my curiosity and what I'm interested in. And you are here actually mainly because one of my clients has recommended you and has sent me your link. And I was like, okay, there must be something in there because I know she's a friend of yours. So this is why you're here. And so, Kavita, I have a few icebreaking questions for you first before I give you a chance to introduce yourself.
Right.
I'm curious, what is the best gift that you've ever received?
On the spot, the best gifts. Any of my friends that listen to this, I apologize in advance because I'm going to say something so silly, only because it's the first thing that popped into my head. But my boyfriend now, we've been together for 10 years. But what's so funny is for my very first birthday that we spent together, he came and met me up north, and he brought several little bags. And one of them had, the first one I opened had several cans of tuna. And it might not seem like the best gift, but I was so touched because we had just started dating a couple of months before. And the reason he got me all these cans of tuna is because one time we were shopping at the grocery store, and just quickly in passing, I pointed at this brand and I was like, oh my God, this is my favorite tuna. And little did I know that my boyfriend at the time was just like noting down every little thing that I said that I liked, and was accumulating this list of gifts for me. So best gift, I'm not sure, but it was up there in terms of like thoughtfulness.
Yeah, I love that actually. I love the gifts that are a bit quirky and different, where it's not like the usual kind of, here, booking somewhere or just like a ring, whatever women like. But actually something funny and something that has so much value like that. I mean, in that way. Do you know what I mean? So it's the gesture that counts and not the actual thing that you get.
Absolutely. It spoke volumes, right? About this guy that I just started dating. I was like, wow, like he really cares. He's listening to the things. Like it really showed how thoughtful he was. And it was quirky is the right word. It definitely put a smile on my face. It was hilarious. And obviously, 10 years later, a memorable moment.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. Next question for me is, Kavita, what is a book that you're currently reading?
I am in the middle of several books because I have a terrible habit of starting so many books and rarely finishing them. But it's not that I won't. It's just that I get really excited about new books. So the first one that came to mind that I'm in the middle of is Atomic Habits by James Clear. But I would love to share one that I am always in the middle of. It's actually, I think right now it's my third or fourth time reading it, which is Super Attractor by Gabby Bernstein. And I think it's a better answer because literally I just shared with you that I rarely finish because I get so excited. And this is one book. I think it's the only book that I've read again and again and again. So I am always at some point, I'm always in the middle of this book.
Why do you like it so much?
It's kind of more than a book. I view it as just like a guide for life. And when we have a lot going on, it is a reminder that to surrender, right? To not try and control everything, to know that the universe is working for us, and to kind of trust and allow, and it can just be such a helpful reminder for me when things can start to feel like chaotic and what's happening. And it talks a lot about the importance of prioritizing like joy, and the more you have fun in your life, that's when like good things come. And I apply this philosophy to dating a lot, and as well as with my clients.
Yeah, nice. We're going to talk about that in a moment.
Yeah.
Last question here I have is, Kavita, what is the best thing about being a woman?
I don't yet have children, but something in me just says that I want to have children. And I mean, what a beautiful thing to be able to carry a child and have that sort of connection with the person that you bring into this world, like literally bring into this world. So I've been thinking a lot about starting a family with my partner. So that is top of mind for me today.
Nice. Thank you for sharing. All right. So Kavita, now please take a moment to introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what you do and why you're here.
Yeah. Well, first of all, with that initial intro that you never have any dating experts on, I am so honored to be here. So thank you. And yeah, my name is Kavita. I own a company called Dashing Dates, and we've been in business now for over 10 years. This is our 11th year in business. And we really started as a speed dating and matchmaking company, and then over the years really evolved into more coaching, which is my passion. And as of last year, we've transitioned fully into courses, coaching. We've really become a school. It's called Love University. And under that, I do private coaching, group coaching, as well as live courses, pre-recorded courses. And then at this time, we still have a matchmaking division of the business, which is local to certain cities here in Canada.
Got it. And I know you also work with men, which is quite interesting. So, okay, let's start with like the hot things that women want to know. And I personally have been sharing with you that this is something that I don't normally share a lot. Well, frankly, I think that's why I have stayed away a lot from like, oh my God, don't send me another email about 5 tips to what to say to a man or whatever. As I grow my business and my message, I know that this kind of quote unquote top of the funnel content, which is what women are actually searching for, I never resonated with it. This is not something I want to talk about, and therefore I'm not interested in, and therefore I'm not knowledgeable about what to say to a man when he does this, or, like what to write in your profile, what kind of pictures you got, stuff like that. And I know you probably agree with that. That's just the surface level stuff. I mean, in some cases that obviously helps, like if a woman has amazing self-esteem and she's worked on herself a lot. But sometimes this kind of, text guides or, this stuff on YouTube, like where to kiss a man and stuff like that. I mean, that might help and provide you kind of information like, oh, I'm going to try that. But in my experience, what I see is most of the time, the issues are a lot deeper than that. And that's why I guess, a lot of this stuff, texting guide, what to say and stuff like that, it's very popular. And obviously the people who are kind of catching women with these videos or things, then they take them down the line. I mean, I don't know. But a lot of like one of the guys that's like the guru in dating and relationships, I won't name his name, but he's kind of catching women with that. But then I know it's all about personal growth and personal development. It's just like I'm working with that, and I'm kind of starting to be okay with it, because I try to put myself in the shoes of a woman who is experiencing challenges in dating, right? Like, let's say men are ghosting her, they're emotionally unavailable, not ready for a relationship, or they want her to do all the work. And what does she do? Like, a lot of the women are just not aware that there's an issue deep down inside of her, and she thinks that, oh, well, if I only knew what to say or how to sit or how to be in my feminine and wear more dresses, then everything will be solved. And of course, she tries and tries and tries. Sometimes it works, but a lot of times it doesn't. Okay. And so that's why, I just have an aversion to a lot of this stuff. And so, but I'm getting there, I'm starting to create more content like that, because I know this is what's popular and what women want. And so I want to talk to you about that, and I also actually started to educate myself to help my women not only, so the first thing that we do is we work on the deeper stuff of reframing beliefs and understanding polarity in men and stuff like that. And only then, after this transformation is done, then I teach them stuff that's more on the surface, about the dresses and the makeup and the style and actually your profile and things like that. But since you are the expert on this, and I know you do deep coaching as well, but I also know that you are an expert on all of these things like tips and profiles and things. So before we get, I guess, into the biggest tips you have for women listening, I guess my question to you, Kavita, is most women that we talk to on discovery calls, they have a big problem with dating apps. In fact, they have a big problem with all of the other external factors that they think that that's the problem, like hating on dating apps, not going to do that again, like just done, or, it's like the New York City scene or it's the LA scene, like name a city. A woman has told me that the problem in dating is in the city that she's in, or like they say, I have 4 children or even 1 child and no man's going to want to date that, or I don't have any children. So I see this. And again, this goes along the lines of what I shared with you. Women think that there's something external that they need to change, either, a dating app or get off dating apps or whatever. And all of this is basically to either avoid or basically no awareness that actually you are the common denominator and women find amazing men on dates. I have clients with 4 children who found their partner in New York City, in LA, in the middle of nowhere. So maybe let's focus on dating apps. Why is it so hard for women to experience great dating on dating apps? Like, what's the biggest issue? Why is this happening? And maybe that's true for men as well. I don't know. So you work with men. So I'd love if you can bring that perspective as well.
Yeah. Oh, dating apps. I myself have a love-hate relationship with them just from having these types of conversations. Conversations about apps, they're always so present in my conversations with clients. I just want to preface this by saying I view them as a tool, and they really are designed to help you meet someone. And if you use them as the tool that they are, the problem is that people they rely so much on them to not only meet people, but then to build a relationship. And this is something that I always say, that dating apps are great at facilitating introductions, but they're also designed to end relationships before they have a chance to begin. So your number one goal when you're on a dating app is to move off the app, right? That's what you have to keep in mind. Connect with someone, match with someone that you wouldn't normally have the opportunity to meet, most likely. But once you've connected, have the mutual goal, ideally, to move off the app. So I would say let's just graduate to one step further, even if that's texting on your phone, a voice note, a video call, just something that says we are mutually interested in taking this budding relationship off of, here where it's bound to fizzle out. And I think there's a really big disconnect between men and women, because there was this period where men were asking women out and they were constantly being told no. Women were too, I don't know what the exact reason is, but I would say they're just not ready yet to go on a date with this person that they just started talking to. But I think men are making the right move by suggesting a date sooner than later, because when you don't know someone and you're trying to build a connection with someone over text message on a dating app, it's very, very difficult. You're filling in so many gaps. You don't know anything about this person. You don't know what they sound like. You're really piecing together what they mean by what they say. So the best thing you can do is get in front of this person, even if it's a video call, to actually put a real 3D, face to the name and to this profile. So that's one of the biggest disconnects is I think men now are afraid to suggest a date. So these conversations go on and on and on the app, and they are getting turned down. And the problem on the other side is that women will then complain, and they say they want to meet someone, they say they want to go on dates, but when a man actually makes that move and they want to meet, it's often too soon. So there is like a disconnect in the way men and women are communicating specifically on dating apps. And, sorry, just to finish this thought, very often I'll speak to someone and what they want or what they say they want is really not aligned with the actions that they're taking and the way they're using apps.
Yeah, right. So this is not my women, because I tell my women, I tell exactly the same thing. Dating apps are there to match and match. That's it. And after that, your goal should be to get off the dating app. And I know that a lot of men who are very strategic about this, they know this. I mean, this is the pickup industry is teaching men that get her off the app, move her into a phone number, move her into a date. I'm happy that you're confirming that. And what I teach my women, my clients, is say yes, right? Like, go on a date with a man. One of the biggest questions I get now is like pen pals. Oh my God, he's messaging me 3 times a day on their dating app, blah, blah, whatever, but then he's not setting up a date. So I think you bring up a really important point where men want to move to a date, want to invite you to the date, but because they have been rejected or maybe given feedback, oh, this is too soon. So what do you advise? I guess let's talk about women, because women are listening. As a woman, I understand, like, let's say we connected, we chatted for a day, and he's like, do you want to meet me? And you're like, I don't know, because, there's like, you might be thinking like safety concerns or whatever. So what do you advise your clients, like for your female clients, when is a good time to actually say yes to a date or hint that you're ready or whatever?
I'm a huge fan of the video call, whether it's 10 minutes on FaceTime, hopping on Zoom. I was a big fan of this, and I would always tell my clients, like, introduce this step. And this was pre-pandemic. So it was a little bit odd to be like, do you want to hop on FaceTime? People thought it was weird. Now there's no excuse, right? So the pandemic took care of that. If someone is not willing to hop on a quick FaceTime call with you before you meet up, that would come across as very strange to me. Like, you want to spend time in traffic and parking and drinks and a whole thing potentially to meet me, but you won't hop on a quick video call just to mutually, make sure I am who I say I am and see, like, is there some chemistry here? If you're busy, my clients are very busy professionals, and my goal when I'm working with them is I'm always prioritizing conserving their time. So depending on what your personal dating goals are, if you can easily get a date, but you don't have time, introduce the video call and just make sure that this is somebody who you're curious about actually meeting in person. If it feels like pulling teeth on a video call, it's not going to be that much better in person. So save yourself the stress of, constantly being surprised on a first date and being discouraged. So that's one, I think, very easy way to vet the people that you're thinking about dating. And then the other thing is like, what are your intentions? When I'm working with clients, I spend a lot of time setting the groundwork beforehand about how they want to operate on the dating scene. This is what I always say. The dating scene is your playground. Dating is not black and white. And while that frustrates most people, I love it. I love that it's this giant gray zone. Yes, I have some rules that are black and white, like that, treat people with respect, operate with integrity. I don't encourage any sort of like pickup artist type behavior. And I'm very much an advocate for making sure that somebody's on the same page as you. You're allowed to date multiple people. You're allowed to date casually, but you're not allowed to mislead people. With that said, the dating world is your playground, and it's either going to happen to you or you're going to happen to it. And the beauty is you can really create something beautiful that works for you personally. And I think a lot of people tend to just get caught up in how it has to be and what it should be. When I start working with a new client, that's what we first talk about. Like, how do you want to experience dating? Where are you at? What is important to you? If you haven't dated in a long time, I will say, like, well, how do you feel about going on dates? Maybe skip the video date because you need to practice just like sitting in front of a man and enjoying yourself and reconnect with romance and And how nice is it to have a conversation with a man, even if it doesn't go anywhere because it's been so long? So it really varies from client to client. But the first thing is, what do you want out of this? Of course, it's gonna vary, but having a bit of a system in place for, you know what, I am comfortable usually going on a date after, these 2-3 things happen. So have like a bit of a system for yourself that you can like count on and rely on, so that you're not just like, I don't know, and this person you meet after one day, after a few messages, and then this person, you're letting it ride out for 3 weeks. Like, why is that happening? And so I work on that stuff with my clients first and foremost.
Yeah, great. So the video call, I love the idea, because then it gives you, if a man asks you on a date and for you it's like, ooh, am I ready? We just talked for like 2 days, then yeah, you could say, hey, before we meet, I'm happy to meet, but before we meet, I'd be more comfortable to have a video call first. That's it, and let him, reply and everything. So I think this is a really great opportunity to see like how he's going to react to that, right? Because major red flag would be he's like, no, let's meet. I don't see a reason why a man would do that unless he's like a creep or someone. He's not on the photo. Yeah,
there's no reason. If you're dating, if you're talking to a normal person who's like, matching your kind of like your caliber and level of where you're at, and 100%, it's an immediate. It's such an easy tell if this person is worth your time.
And the second thing you mentioned, I love that you said dating is a playground. I also love that you say dating is not black and white. And this is one of my aversions to a lot of the stuff that's being taught for women in dating, because there's all these freaking rules and red flags. And, my clients like have all the things saved there, and she's sitting on a date and thinking, where's this going? Is he my next husband? Has he, healed his childhood trauma? Is this a red flag? And I actually know that you have one video that's one of my most popular videos, where you say, instead of being there on the first date and like asking them, are you interested? What are you looking for? These things, focus on how you want to feel. And I don't know if you know this or not, but my playing program and how I work with women is all based on feminine embodiment, which means that from the moment they enter the program, I ask them, what do you want to get out of this? And they tell me, oh, I want to meet my committed masculine man, whatever, I want to get to know myself. And then I drop them into the body, and we actually explore in an embodied way, how does that feel? And as soon as they kind of drop into the body and say, oh, it feels like joy and blue color and butterflies and whatever, when we come out of the body, I tell them, this is your decision-making point, whether to go on a next date with a man or not. And I see, women enter the program, they're like, what should I say? Should I go on this next date or not? He was wearing like silver snakeskin boots and was doing a lot of banter. What should I do? Women constantly, and not women, like humans in general, because all of us are walking around disembodied, looking for answers outside. And I always tell women, all the answers are inside. And, Kavita, I look at you, you have your own unique feminine flavor. And I'm very different to you in the way, like how we look. And every single woman has a unique feminine flavor that, through working with me, for example, they have these embodiment tools to really discover, what do I like and how does this make me feel? I had this client, she's like, I see him and he's wearing these like cowboy snakeskin boots. He's having a lot of banter. And she's like, this did not feel good. I'm reading this. I'm like, this would be the best date for me, because that's what I love in men. So there's all these rules and shit. And that's why I love your message that it's a playground and there's no rules here. There's all these coaches that say 3 dates minimum, or you can't sleep with a man, before 3 months or 10 dates, whatever. Or, you cannot date like rigidity in this is not, there's no recipe. There's no checklist, red flags, whatever. Every single woman is unique. And what works for you, I've slept with my husband on like the second date or whatever. I didn't care at that point in my life.
Yeah.
So there's just so many different layers and scenarios. And I want everybody who's watching or listening to know, well, for me, and I'm sure you'd agree, Kavita, that everything is so unique and personal. And your job is to really discover, like I like when your conversation starts with clients, what do you want? Because even the goals in dating are different, right? Well, I want to talk to you about dating multiple people, especially for women. I think my most popular Instagram posts are when I post something about, as a woman, you should date multiple people. It's like, whoa. And there's men commenting being like, this is the worst advice, blah, blah, whatever. So we're going to talk about this next. But real quick, you said something so cool. I thought it was so cool. You said, it's either going to happen to you, like the dating scene, the playground. It's either going to happen to you or you're going to happen to it. What does that mean?
It's either, it's going to swallow you whole, like these dating apps and all, what you're talking about, these tips and what to do and how to do it. Like if you buy into that and you don't take the time to connect with what matters to you, what you're looking for, what your goals are, what kind of dating experiences you want to have, you're just going to get taken for this ride. And you're going to follow what the apps want you to do. And that's why I say, dating apps are actually a beautiful tool at our disposal. And we should be so excited. Another thing that I do with clients in one of my, I run a course as well. And I think it's in session two or three. But one of the very first things is I want you to write down a list right now. I usually like to do 10 and I will encourage it. But even if it starts with 2 or 3, write down why you're grateful to have dating apps, that we have access to these. Because we need to, this is a tool that we're using to find love. Potentially, we need to have a healthy relationship with this medium, this tool that we're actually using. But if every time we're going on an app, we're rolling our eyes, it's at the end of a bad day, it's on the toilet, this is not the energy that I want you looking for a partner from.
I can imagine a woman's having a bad day. She's tired at home. She's sitting on the toilet and swiping left or right, ugh.
That's what's happening. That's what's happening. It's so what kind of experience not only are you going to have, what kind of experience is someone else going to have? The energy behind it, I always say, your energy introduces you before you even speak. If you're going into this after a bad day when you're exhausted and you are frustrated with the apps and you're just doing it because you think that you have no other opportunity, there's no other opportunities to meet someone, you're not going to have a good experience. So with my clients, we actually create goals, parameters. I can dive into this a little bit more. I know I'm using some of the internal language that I use, but also rituals. So I encourage my clients, you can't just swipe aimlessly when you're bored over your lunch hour over the course of your day on the toilet. It's not allowed anymore. I actually want you to be very intentional about the time that you're spending on dating apps. And I encourage them, when do you feel best? Is it after you go to yoga? Is it after you take a bath? Is it on Saturday mornings? When do you have the most energy? When are you in the best mood? And that is the time that I actually want you to schedule. The importance that we give the things that matter most in our lives. Dinners with friends, our training sessions at the gym. We put this stuff in our calendar. As busy professionals, these things matter and they go in our calendar and there's time allocated for it. Same, why are we not doing that with the time that we're investing into our dating lives? So I work on this with clients and we actually create a bit of a ritual around, I call them sunny swipe sessions. And that could be when you're at the park with your dog, or like I said, Saturday morning after yoga with a cup of tea. Why don't you go out to a coffee shop and sit down, in your comfy sweater and order your latte and swipe and bring that positive energy to it. And also when you have a dedicated time, you allocate a specific amount of time for something, the intention behind it, there's something different. It's not aimless. You have a goal here. And it's about reading profiles. You're looking for love. I always say you're not shopping for a couch. You're looking for love, right? How does this make you feel? Yeah. So I bring a very, very different approach to dating apps than I think most people do.
Yeah, really cool. No, I really like what you're doing. So I've got a bunch of things that I want to talk to you about. Let's talk a little bit about profiles, right? Because I didn't actually have this in my program. I'm going to introduce it. So I'm going to be releasing version 2 of my program. And I had to do some education around profiles because I see women really need that. But obviously that's going to come like all the way after we do all the personal internal growth, because, you know, the issues that they're struggling with most of the time are not going to be fixed with a profile. I mean, yes, you might attract more men, more quality men that are going to swipe, I don't even know, it's left or right or whatever. But then how you're going to show up on the date or relationship is you're still going to bring that old self with all of your limiting beliefs and stuff like that. But I know that women need this. And I did an exercise after I've educated myself on profiles and things like that, and what are the best things to do, what are the things not to do. I asked my women to post their dating profiles or in our, you know, a private group. And what I saw was quite interesting. And I'm curious what you see in your clients. Most women, I'm not sure about men probably most people, I would say, do not know how to present themselves well. Like I now start telling my women, your business profile, well, your dating profile is a business card. You have to become, at first you have to become in your life who you want, who he's going to be attracted to, the men that you want. So I do a lot of exercises like that, magnetizing and becoming the person that this man is going to be attracted to. And then your job is to match that on a dating app, right? And most women, when I look at profiles, I see a lot of pictures that are not flattering, you know. And I actually, we had an episode with a client of mine who's like perfected her profile, and she's getting so many men just message her right away. And we just talked about all the tips that she has. But before I really want to hear from you. What do you think are the biggest problems what do you see as the biggest, let's say, mistakes or whatever problems with dating profiles from women? And what would you, I don't know, your top 3, I guess, things that women can immediately do to better their profile so they can all attract, you know, the women that we work with want that high value man, right? So what would you say to that?
So let's get the first thing out of the way. I'm not going to spend time on this, but obviously your photos have to be excellent. We have a framework that we use. It's 6 magic photos. I call them the 6 magic photos for dating profiles. What I will say about photos is this. You can be the most beautiful woman, and yes, you will get the matches, no problem. But that's not the point. The point of your profile is to attract not just lots of matches, it's to attract men that actually are compatible, right? And there's only so much we can do as women because a lot of men are just, you know, they're looking at pictures or not necessarily reading. But hopefully once you're spending a little bit more time, and I have a very like specific framework and method in the approach and strategy with dating apps. And then on the other side is profiles. But one thing, whether it's photos or the written part of your profile, it's value, value, value. Provide value. Give someone a glimpse into what it's like to actually date you, what it's like to be in your life, what's it like to spend a weekend with you. And a lot of these profiles are very generic. So just on the photos again, the most beautiful woman in the world, don't put 5 selfies up. Don't put 5 photos of you kind of just like standing there looking pretty. It's not providing any value to the person. Look, I have no idea who you are, right? Every inch and corner of your profile is an opportunity to give someone a glimpse into what you're actually about. You want to turn people away. You want your profile to use it as a filter to attract people that are right for you and filter out people that are not a good match for you. So 6 photos of you looking pretty is not the right approach. Show me what you do. Show me how you spend your time. Give me a glimpse into what you're doing on the weekends, what's important to you. Let me see what you're all about. So that's number 1. And the same thing that also applies to the written part. I've gone through, I don't know how many profiles in my lifetime. And I know so many of these clients. These are remarkable, amazing people who live fulfilling lives. And I could barely tell the difference. Like one person to the next, they just all blended. So everybody sounds the same. I love to try new things. I love to travel. I live a healthy lifestyle, yoga. I love my dog.
Yeah.
So you're not actually telling anyone anything because every profile sounds the same. How are you supposed to stand out if I see I love to try new things one more time on someone's profile, like tell me what you want to, tell me what you love, tell me the last thing you tried. That's what I talk about being fresh and current. If anybody listening takes one thing away from this, it's this idea that we have a method at Dashing Date. It's called the dynamic dating profile. I say, like, gone are the days of these static profiles that you can tell from a mile away has been sitting here. I can't tell if this was written in 2023 or in 2013. I really don't know. Right. But you don't have to keep it updated all the time, but using words like just got back from Greece, headed to a cottage with my girlfriends this weekend. Just these like words that sound recent can absolutely elevate your profile, really help you stand out from other people. You know, as a society, we're drawn to fresh and current content. When somebody's coming to your podcast, they're not scrolling down to find the podcast that was posted in 2020. They want to see what was posted yesterday. So when you have a profile that talks about what you just did or what you're about to do, guaranteed you're getting more eyes on this profile. And also, I always say the magic is in the details, right? So you love food and you're a foodie. What kind of food? Tell me about a restaurant that you recently tried in the city that I have to try. You love to travel? Tell me your dream destination. Tell me where you just booked a trip to or where you're just getting back from. Share something with me. Give me something to work with. And another thing is, give someone, make it easy for someone to start a conversation with you. When you provide details, it really makes it easier for a man and for you, like, we have something to talk about now. These very generic profiles lead to very generic conversations that fizzle out very quickly.
I love everything that you're saying, and it's like I'm even surprised that it's so in line with what I've been learning about all of that. And you use words like value and content and fresh. I'm like, this is marketing. This is everything that I think about when I think about putting stuff out there for my listeners. And so it's really interesting. I mean, it's pretty much, if you think about it, it's the same thing. You want to attract the right audience that resonates with who you are and what you're all about. And it's like a match because, you and I, when we're attracting clients, when we get into a relationship with a client, like they sign up for our program, it is a relationship. And so It is like dating. So I really love that parallel. Now, we don't have much time, Kavita, and I can sense that you and I can basically jam on this, and I have an idea. I'm like, wow, we should do like a series about dating, about like I'm sure, your audience might benefit from my, expertise in, say, polarity or embodiment or whatever. So we should definitely talk about that after it. Everyone listening, if you think this is a great idea, let me know. Well, I have two questions, but we're not going to have time. Well, actually, let me, real quick, 1 minute. I just want to do a check with you because I see we're vibing with so many levels. One check I want to do with you, whether you're familiar with masculine and feminine polarity, and whether you're recommending this, whether you're talking about this with clients. But the idea that I have with my clients is, if you set the polarity right from the beginning, meaning that you were talking about, men will ask you on a date, but then recently, or I guess in the last few years, especially with Me Too and masculinity is toxic and whatever, they're a little bit more reserved in actually making that move and taking that, let's say, leadership role. But I tell my women, this is your filter. My women want a committed masculine man. A masculine man means a man who takes the lead, takes charge, not the unhealthy masculine dynamic where he's like dominant, whatever. We're not even talking about men. Yeah, like the asshole type of a guy, right? So I tell them, you want a man who pursues. You want a man who organizes dates, who pursues, who really is a go-getter, so to say, who you can feel safe with, who you can surrender to and relax with and have this amazing, beautiful polarity. So what I teach my women is, because they all come in with like too much in their head, they're too masculine, they're approaching dating like a job interview, like all of that. So I teach them to get out of this and relax and lean back. Let the men come to you and know that you choose. And with that comes the funnel, which is the dating funnel that I teach, which is like, you date, you're allowed to date multiple men at a time. And in fact, this is what I recommend. Now, when I post this type of content, a lot of them are like, what? What do you mean? Like, there's so much guilt involved in that. And I teach them, like, shopping for shoes. You should be dating like shopping for shoes. There's a guy who commented on that post who said, ooh, if I find out a woman is dating other men, like, I'm going to be out of here. And I commented, and then I'd say, what gives you the right to hold monopoly on a woman's time? Like, have you earned to be exclusive with her? She doesn't even know you. Like, we're talking about, 3 dates and you're already like, we're exclusive. Like, why? No.
Yeah.
So we've got like 2 minutes, literally. If you could answer this question about polarity and a woman leaning back and allowing the men to pursue and court her. And then the second thing, if you can talk a little bit about the funnel and dating multiple men at a time.
Okay. So when I'm working with female clients, we do talk about masculine and feminine energies. Maybe you're the expert, but I also believe that being in your feminine energy is asking for what you want, and then knowing when it is time to sit back and receive. And I think there's like a line sometimes where women, when they're being in their feminine energy, they think that they're just supposed to like sit and wait for the man to do everything.
Right.
I'm very clear with my women that being feminine means standing in your power and telling a man that you would love to go on a date, and knowing where that line is, right? But letting somebody know what you want and that you're interested, I think it is being in your feminine energy. But very often I see women then crossing the line and trying to control, and now they want to choose the place, and now the person hasn't, you said you're interested, now they're not, they haven't like gotten the hint, and then they start to spiral. And so that a lot of that is what we are working on, and finding that balance, which is so delicate. So we can pick up there the next time we chat. I agree that there's absolutely room for a round 2 here. And about dating multiple men, I could really care less what men think about it. So let's just put that aside.
Okay.
That's their own problem. But whoever has a problem with that, I mean, I don't think we should waste our energy on them, is one thing. And then the other thing is, this is what it comes down to in that initial conversation. So I don't like to push, but I will encourage, right? So I won't tell a female client that she should be dating lots of guys. I don't like to should, but I pay a lot of attention to patterns. So if you are the type who gets attached very quickly, and as soon as you start dating someone, like all of your attention goes on them, I will absolutely encourage you to explore, maybe spreading out that energy a little bit, because you're putting so much focus on this one thing, and that's not healthy, especially if it's become a pattern. And then on the flip side, if you are the type who tends to get overwhelmed and you're dating too many people and then it never turns into anything serious. So the very first step for me is about what are your current dating patterns that are not serving you. And it's not about we have to do it this way, but it is about what can we explore so that we can learn a little bit more about what feels right for you.
Interesting. So well, you're saying that it's very individual. I just find that dating multiple men at a time, and maybe it's because of the clients that I attract, for most women, I find that this strategy is extremely beneficial, because what I find is that most women do attach to the words, to what he said on the second day. In my experience, most women assume that they're in a relationship after they have sex with a guy, after they've been with him for like a month and he starts talking about his friends and introducing. She thinks she's in a relationship. He's like still dating other women. That is the main reason. And we, I think definitely round 2, round 3 is required here, because we can talk. We can have a whole episode, and I think we should, on polarity, on dating multiple men, on profiles, on embodiment from my side or whatever. So, But unfortunately, we have to finish now for this first round. And I'm so grateful, Kavita. I'm grateful that your friend, my client, introduced you to me. And I'm looking forward to connecting with you more because I feel like we're definitely vibing. And thanks so much for your time. And tell everyone real quick before you go, where can they find you and, follow you or whatever else you want to share.
Yeah, so this was really, really fun. I agree. I feel like we're just like introduction. Like I feel like we're just getting started.
But we got matched on a dating app, and yeah,
video call. We're doing the video call.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. This could easily go on for another 2 hours. But yeah, I'm excited to connect again for sure. There's so many different areas of dating that we could explore. All the areas of the playground, and yeah, people can find me on dashingdate.com and on Instagram at dashingdate. Yeah, I think it's pretty easy to find me that way. And yeah, I look forward to connecting again.
Cool. Thanks so much, Kavita.
Have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you soon.